Okay, my issues with marriage, and I've talked about this on one of my other channels a few times. Um, Man, I just have real issues with how people think about and practice and communicate love about each other. And I do have a real issue with marriage, and this is not to upset anyone uh, or offend anyone about their beliefs. I'm sharing my opinion because I think that my philosophy, my understanding about the physiology, the science of falling in love, can really help people, lose the fear and lose the unreal expectation about what a partnership can be, what relationships can be. To me, love, real love, not this primitive, selfish falling in love, which is fun and great, but it's primitive and it's selfish, and it turns ultimately oftentimes destructive when that primitive romance doesn't work out. Now, people hate each other because the romance didn't work out. So I'm going to reference chapter 14 of the book I wrote a couple years ago called The Evolution of Love. And I have to look back because I've not really thought about these concepts for a couple years. So forgive me, I'm going to be reading just a tad here. To start the chapter, I quoted a passage from a book by a guy named John C. Morris. And the title was First Comes Love, ? The Ever-Changing Face of Marriage. Ever-changing. Our concept of marriage changes, people. So criticize me for being untraditional or iconoclastic. The concept changes. And it's time to freaking upgrade this whole concept. Let me quote this guy. He says, if I were painting a picture of the primal couple, Adam and Eve, I would not put wedding clothes on them. As a matter of fact, the original artist put no clothes on them. The point of the story was not to get them married, but to get them going on an adventure. No wedding gowns, no tuxedos, no vows, no certificates. Just two naked people leaning on each other, trying to make sense of their surroundings and the meaning of their lives. Two people trying to understand their relationship to God, while also trying to figure out how to be companions to each other. And isn't that the same story today? I think it is. So here's my comments on that. I've already laid out some of my issues on marriage, but a topic of this magnitude deserves its own chapter. So this is chapter 14, marriage, from my book, The Evolution of Love. So I remember, this is now a few years back, maybe 10 years ago, talking with a coworker about the idea of marriage. At the time in my life, I was starting to conclude that marriage probably wasn't something I would be interested in trying. And when he found out I wasn't keen to the idea of marriage, he asked, Doug, don't you want someone to clean the house and cook for you while you're at work all day? I thought about it for just a second and replied, no, I don't care about that at all. I want someone that I can have fun with. He was taken aback as if the thought had never crossed his mind before. So people think about relationships differently, right? Obviously. You need to be clear and communicate what your views are with your partner and understand exactly what they expect also. Now let me say this. As long as two people are honest about their intentions, their desires, and expectations, and want to get married, of course I wish them well and hope they have lasting happiness together. But I think it's imperative that any couple, married or not, recognize this relationship may not work out for the long term. May not. There's a chance. Some slim chance, right? Give it your best shot and try to make it work. But if it doesn't work out, if you're not truly happy and satisfied and your partner the same, there shouldn't be any shock, horror, or shame, no vilifying of the other party. And try to keep the friendship intact. Friendship, again, is equal to my concept of evolved love, unconditional love. That's the more beautiful version of love because it comes without strings. And it doesn't it doesn't degrade into bitterness and hatred. So I think we need to flip the entire paradigm of love on its head. The existing paradigm of love is based on the selfish impulses and desires of our primitive reptilian brains. But we aren't reptiles any longer. Our species has evolved. And all the noblest ideals that we celebrate as a species, equality, fairness, justice, living in peace and harmony, and divine unconditional love, originate in our cerebral cortex, the more evolved region of our brains. The existing paradigm of commitment, possession, and marriage satisfies our selfish reptilian brain. It is the ultimate expression of primitive love, but it does not satisfy our evolved brain, our evolved nature. I realize this is a shocking and controversial conclusion, and I don't expect everyone to agree, but I think that my views will make sense to a lot of people. Even for those who disagree with my conclusions, I sincerely hope that my perspectives and scientific insights will help you improve the quality of your relationship. I left with the page here. Damn it. Okay, now some will accuse me of going against thousands of years of tradition, but actually I'm not. The concept of marriage has constantly evolved over the centuries. It wasn't until the last 200 years or so that men and women started thinking about marriage in terms of equality and love. Up until then, marriage was typically used as a means to transfer property, build alliances, and gain power. Again, my definition of evolved love is the deepest level of caring about another person. When we care so much that about that person, I gotta edit this. About that person, that they feel like they're part of us. When we have this level of caring, no matter how much we want to be with them, ultimately we want them to be happy, even if they are happier with someone else. Accept it. It'll set you free. The concept of marriage is completely incompatible with my definition of love. This is why I will never get married. I would never attempt to put shackles on anyone, let alone someone that I cared about. I would never ask someone to stay with me who wasn't happy with me, because I want them to be happy. I mean, I want that for strangers, again, let alone someone I have a relationship with and I care about. I want everyone to be happy, especially those that I love. So I think it's also worth pointing out that I don't want a relationship of mediocrity. I want a fantastic relationship with someone who's crazy about me, who actually wants to be with me. How crazy is that, right? I have one life to live, so they say. And I want to enjoy it. Don't we all? And I quote Sting's song, if you love somebody, set them free. Only then will you know that the love is true. If you set them free and they leave, then, accept that. That's fine. But the alternative is, it's not real, and you're going to cling to that thing that's not real, and so that's stupid, right on the face of it. So back in chapter 11, I pointed out that we all change over time in multiple ways, and we need to be free to change if we're going to, live full and satisfying lives. This is one of the reasons I don't think the prevailing concept of marriage works. In my eyes, marriage implies a promise not to change too much. You got married, say, when I was in my mid-20s to a Catholic, conservative, somewhat homophobic, guy. Well, I'm not that guy anymore. And I needed to be free. The person who married me in my 20s would not recognize the person I am today. So how could I expect them to stay with me? Maybe they'd be happy with me, but maybe not. It's totally fair that they wouldn't find me a suitable mate anymore. That's freaking fine. There's no bad guy. And then, again, what is it exactly that we're committing to with our marriage vows? We're committing to stay together even when we're not happy anymore, right? If you think about it and peel back the layers, that's what the promise is. Recognizing the day's going to come where we're not happy, but we're going to stay together just because we're supposed to. Do you really want that? Some of you probably do. You're so needy and desperate that you need someone to cling on to give you value and not feel alone or feel like a loser. And I say you have some personal development to work on. You should not feel like that. But for most of us, I think when we look at it that way, with that kind of honesty, then no, we don't want that. We want really happy, satisfying, fulfilling lives. So the commitment is pointless. The commitment I want with my partners is commit to be honest with me. As long as you're happy and it's satisfying and it's working for you, great. And the point that it's not, please tell me. So we can either change and make it work or move on. So I think, again, here you go, exceeding 10 minutes again. There's just so many ideas that I express in this book. I think a lot of it people need to hear. It's going to upset a lot of people. That's not the intention, but sometimes we've got to rattle people's cages to get them to see things differently. And again, never lose sight of my goal here. Like, I'm not selling this for $20 or $10. I honestly intended to make this book available for free, to just give it away to people, to share my ideas, and if you find value, then you can reciprocate. But the most important thing is I actually do want to help people have better relationships, have less fear. Because, again, when you have your head on straight, when you understand our nature, the nature of love, falling in love, and have a realistic expectation, then there is absolutely nothing to fear. There's no fear of heartbreak or cheating, and that's where I'm at. I hope to get other people to that level. Why? So we can bring more love into the world, so we can have a better world to live in. How crazy is that? Alright guys, if that works, great. Like, share the video, subscribe if you like. This will be my channel specifically for this topic of relationships and trying to promote my book, but I don't care about book sales. Again, it's about getting the ideas out there, and at some point I'll have all the ideas that I talk about in my book. They'll be up on YouTube for free. I'm not selling advertising. I got bigger goals. Alright guys, wish you well. Have a great day. Bye.